Welcome, folks. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight to one of our forums on the Pay-As-You-Throw program for trash. My name is Eric Street. I'm the Public Works Director for the town of Yarmouth. I appreciate everybody coming out. Kind of a lousy night to be outside, but it's good to see a good turnout for these meetings. Just like to do a couple of introductions here. I have Andrew King from our Recycling Committee, and I have Joel Noel from our Recycling Committee as well. And we have a few folks here from the Town Council tonight. We have Tim Shannon, who is the Council Chair. I have Heather Abbott, and I also have Randy Bates in the back. So welcome those folks here tonight. A couple other folks, Karen Stover, sitting at the back table. She works at the Yarmouth Town Hall. She's got some information about the Yarmouth Transfer Station as well as some giveaway stuff we're promoting the program with. So if you haven't got one yet, you can take one of the new recycling totes or a kitchen food waste pail. And there's a new bag that goes with the Pay-As-You-Throw program, each one of those. So you can pick one of those and make sure you take one with you tonight. We also have Katrina Van Usen in the back. She works for Maine, so some of you have been chatting with her, and she brought a bunch of resources with her from Maine tonight, just to kind of share with you what Maine's about. That's where all of our trash and recycling goes. So we'll talk a little bit more about that tonight as we go further. So with that, just wanted to, again, welcome everybody here tonight. The format for tonight, I've got a presentation. We'll walk through some slides. I'll go into a little bit more detail. I would ask folks, if you have questions or comments, if you could wait until the end and then make your way up to the podium and just introduce yourself, your name and where you're from. So this is live streamed tonight and recorded. You can watch. We had one of these back in October. We have this one here tonight, and there's another one in December that's coming up. So plenty of opportunities to watch these events. But if we could just come up to the podium, we can make sure to capture those questions clearly so other folks can hear them as well. So with that, I'm going to jump into the meeting. This first slide is just kind of a snapshot of some of the things that are coming. So I'll talk about these in more detail, but I just wanted to hit kind of the highlights to let folks know what's going to be coming in January. As many of you probably hear, you've already seen the advertisements and so forth about this, that the Pay-As-You-Throw program will be starting in January 2nd of 2023. So that means all the residential trash in Yarmouth will need to be disposed of in a town bag. So we have the bags. Karen's got some samples there tonight. Those are the large bags. I don't have the small ones yet, but there's a 30-gallon bag. Those are going to be, you can buy those. Those are going to be available at retailers. I don't have the final list of retailers, but we're working with Hannaford and Shaw's and Ace Hardware and a couple other local stores too to try to get those out and get those available sometime in December. So those will be coming. The price of the bags for a large bag, it figures out to $2 a bag, or you'll be able to buy them in a sleeve of 5 for $10. And there's also a 15-gallon bag, which figures out to $1.25 per bag, and you can buy those in a sleeve of 10 for $12.50. So if you've been to Hannaford, you've seen other towns, North Yarmouth, Pownell, Cumberland, all of those Pay-As-You-Throw programs. They already have those on display, so we'll just be adding Yarmouth's color to that. So who does this impact? Again, it impacts all the users of the town, of the transfer station, as well as residents who contract for curbside collection. And I'll talk a little bit more why curbside collection is involved in this. But it's basically all residential trash. Some other important details, transfer station window stickers. So we've had those for a number of years. Those will continue. Last year, they were $25. That's been the fee. Under this new program, they're actually going to go to $2 for a sticker. So whether you buy 1 or 6, they're $2 each. You'll still be available as a transfer station sticker, or if you're a renter in Yarmouth, you can also purchase a recycling sticker and just use the recycling services as well. But those will still be required. That's how staff knows when you're coming in and out of the facility, whether or not you're a Yarmouth resident. Those actually went on sale Monday, November 14th, so you can buy those and actually give you a free bag when you buy that sticker. Couple other things I just wanted to highlight was the food waste. So if folks haven't been to our transfer station lately, we've always done a food waste program where you can drop off. We incorporated it into our leaf and yard waste composting program. We've recently changed that up, so now we partner with a company called AgriCycle, And what that did was it allowed us to expand the program. So before we were limited to just what they call greens and browns, which is basically vegetation waste, vegetable waste, potatoes, breads, that type of thing. We didn't take fish, meat, or dairy. With this program, we can. So it's basically wide open. We can take shellfish, we can take dairy products. The other thing that's good about this program is that they can accept it in a package. So if you had a product that went bad, you didn't want to open that, you can actually throw the whole thing into the recycling receptacle for the food waste, and then they will depackage it once it gets to their facility, and then the waste gets processed and brought back to Eco Maine. So that's a good benefit of that program. And again, we'll talk a little bit more once I have availability of the location of the bags. We'll share that, but we know they'll be available at our local retail stores. So just a little bit about the transfer station. If folks, I think probably most use it. If you don't, I just wanted to give a little bit of context about it. It opened in 1989. It's when the old landfill was closed. So if you ever drive down, there's a big field out back. That was the old landfill. It's closed off now. There's 55 acres. 15 of it is what we actively work out of today. We have 3 full-time and 1 part-time person down there. We just recently staffed that 3rd full-time position. We've been a little over a year trying to fill that. So they've had some challenges with staffing down there. And we serve approximately 3,000 households that actually come in and use the transfer station facility. What we do down there, we have an active demolition landfill. So even though the trash landfill is closed, we still operate a demolition landfill where we put in sheetrock and pressure treated. Those are the 2 items that we currently landfill. Everything else I'll talk more about, but that all actually goes out and gets processed for other products or sold in the markets. We are a single sort recycling facility, so that means that you put all your recyclables together, you can put them in, and then they get sorted once they go to Eco Maine. So we do about 1,000 tons a year, and that includes curbside and transfer station. We also accept the municipal solid waste, as folks know. We do about a little over 2,200 tons of that per year. Again, that's a combination of the curbside program and what comes through the transfer station. We also have a book barn, a swap shop, and we accept bulky waste down back. So if you've been to the rear of the facility, which I'll have some pictures of, a lot of items, if you have furniture, you had appliances, you had wood waste, shingles, brush, all that type of stuff, we will accept that at the transfer station. Other items that we do accept are batteries, TVs, lamps, mercury devices, electronics, solid waste, antifreeze, again, plastic, porcelain, concrete, pretty much everything but hazardous waste. That's the only thing that we don't accept, but we do provide an annual collection for hazardous waste that folks can take advantage of. So we're pretty much try to be a full service facility down there and take as much as we possibly can. Just a little bit about curbside. So we've had some calls and questions about curbside and why we're involved, and why this program even applies to curbside. So I just wanted to, if folks don't know, Casella operates in town under the company Pine Tree. They offer a curbside collection program. You see the totes, the wheeled totes you can get. That is a private subscription program, so it's not anything to do with the town. They offer that service, and you pay a subscription fee, which covers the cost of the carts, it covers the cost of the collection and the transportation to Eco Maine. Why it applies to this program is that it does not cover the cost of the disposal. So when that trash gets to Eco Maine, the town is still responsible to pay with a tip fee, if you will, for the tonnage that goes into Eco Maine. So that's $79.50 a ton that we pay for that. And the same with recycling. If you have recycling collected curbside, there's a $35 a ton for that. Town pays that once it gets to Eco Maine as well. So just a little clarity on the curbside program. And what they do pick up is household trash and single sort recycling. Those are the 2 items that you can have collected curbside. There are a couple of companies, or at least one company, that does food waste. I think it was Garbage to Garden. And there's one other one, or they've been bought out now, so the name escapes me, but there are at least 1, if not 2 different opportunities for curbside collection if you want to pay a private subscription for food waste. So, or you can bring that to the transfer station. So what happens to what's taken to the transfer station, just to give you a little snapshot of that, like I said, we have sheetrock and pressure treated that goes into our demolition landfill. We have leaf and yard waste, which we actually compost on site. That gets becomes available to the public, so that's free if you want to come down. We have folks that fill up buckets or fill up a small truck or a trailer. You can take that back and use it in your gardens. We also use it as a soil amendment for the highway department, so we mix it with loam just to further our products, and then we also will sell some of it to a couple different places who will further process that compost and make it into products for sale on their end. All the trash, recyclables, bulky waste, tires, that all goes to Eco Maine. So Eco Maine is a waste incinerator and a single sort recycling facility in Westbrook. So that's the where all of our stuff goes. So we're actually an owner of Eco Maine. So we actually have a financial responsibility, and by license, all of our waste and recycling has to go there. And that's both for commercial and residential waste, that all that material goes to Eco Maine. Some other items that we take, we talked about, there's some product stewardship programs. You may be familiar with some of those. I don't know if you've seen the signs for paint care. When you buy a TV or you buy a computer now, you actually pay into a fee, and then those manufacturers are responsible for the end of life for those recycling programs. So that extends to light bulbs, TVs, electronics, paint care. What else we got here? I think, and batteries is another one for that. And again, we take metal. We work with a couple different companies for metal and appliances, rechargeable batteries, asphalt shingles, brush, and again, food waste. So just about anything you can think of, we try to find a home for it. And most everything that comes into the facility gets processed and goes back out. So we try to landfill very little waste, very little material. So just a snapshot of some of the costs associated with our trash and recycling. As I mentioned, the town pays Eco Maine a fee to dispose of both trash and recycling. So this is for the curbside program and the transfer station program. Currently it's $79.50 for trash. So we spend approximately $163,000 a year on trash disposal. Again, that's for the curbside and the transfer station collection program. And then for recycling, we pay $35 a ton for recycling. We do about, again, 1,000 tons, so about $35,000 a year it costs us for that. And we spend approximately about $114,000 for hauling of trash and recycling to the transfer station. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are changing with the new transfer station facility, which will help us quite a bit. If you've been down there, we use those silver bullets, those silver recycling containers, and everybody complains because they're difficult to get material into. So we're changing all that with the new program. They're also very inefficient. We can only haul about a ton of material because it's not compacted. So our new facility will be able to compact the waste, and we'll be able to reduce our haul costs substantially by doing that. Some of the challenges that we are looking at, been dealing with, and we see coming down the road, obviously, like everything else, we're experiencing rising costs for fuel, for staffing, for everything's gone up. And the trash business is no different. So Eco Maine is looking, if it's approved, they're looking to jump about 13%, or from $79.50 going up to $89.50 for trash. That's projected for 2023. And we're looking to jump from 35 to 50 for recycling in 2023. Those have not yet been approved, but that is before the board, and those will likely be coming our way. So that cost will be passed on to us. Primary reason Eco Maine, like us, is they're an older facility. They have a lot of new capital improvement programs coming, so they've got a single sort recycling system that needs to be done. So they've got some major expenses coming down the road, and as an owner, as a part owner of Eco Maine, we're responsible to share in those costs. Rising haul costs, so again, fuel, everything's gone up. So we saw haul costs this year jump from $94 a ton up to $133. That's for one trip to Eco Maine from Yarmouth. The other big reason, one thing we've been kind of struggling with that the recycling committee has been worked on for years is Yarmouth's recycling rate. So back in 2006, when we switched to single sort recycling, we had, as high as 28, 29% recycling rate for the community. Over time, that's kind of gone down a little bit. When COVID hit, the pandemic, we saw, a drop with that. So right now we're about 23%. So we've been relying primarily on education, outreach, getting into the school programs, doing some things at the transfer station, trying to get the word out about recycling, but we haven't been real successful in moving that number. So part of the reasoning for pay-as-you-throw is tied to that. And some of the other challenges, obviously, we have population. We're doing between 700 and 900 cars a day, Saturdays and Sundays. So if you haven't been down there during those times, they get some pictures of some traffic congestion in the old facility, and things get a little hectic. We've had a few fender benders. We've had people get knocked down. So it's a big safety concern for us down there. So we're trying to address that as well. And then also aging equipment. So I mentioned the facility was built in '89 when the old landfill was closed, so it has not been touched since that time. So the existing compactor, the existing garage was actually built prior to that, and that's where we house all of our transfer station operations. So there's a few things that really need to be taken care of that we just haven't been able to get to. And then part of the other challenges, staffing shortages that I mentioned, and then also I'll show some pictures, but the facility is actually split between two areas on the site. So we have a kind of what we refer to as up top, where the trash and recycling takes place. And then we also have another area down back where we do brush and all the bulky materials. And that's fine on a separation note, but it splits the staffing. So when we're shorthanded, it becomes a problem to kind of oversee and keep up with everything. So we're going to address that as well with this new program and the new facility. So just a couple photos of some of the traffic congestion going on. These are over the last couple years, just some of the constraints we have. One thing we really wanted to do with introducing a new facility and a new program was try to address some of these safety concerns and traffic patterns. So we've got a lot of different turning movements, and it just gets very tight and congested down there. And if you were down there during the pandemic and the height of that, when everybody was home, we actually had traffic backed up to Estabrooks on East Main Street. So it was a very challenging to get everybody in and serviced during that time. So what have we been doing about it? This has been on our radar for a number of years before. It wasn't until about 2016 when we really started to get going on this. The recycling committees worked on this for a number of years too, had discussions. We spent a lot of time, they did, looking at other facilities, talking to other towns, kind of weighing out what's next for Yarmouth. What do we want to see in our waste program? Do we want all curbside collection? Do we want to keep the transfer station? What does that model look like? And a lot of time and effort went into that. And in a nutshell, we heard loud and clear from folks that we like our transfer station. We like the variety and the programs that it offers. There's a social component to it. We have people that campaign. We have people that come down and talk. And so it was very important to the community from what we heard. So we knew that whatever programs we put forward, we needed to keep that intact. So we started back in 2016. We actually signed our first contract with a consultant, Wood & Curran, and they actually did an analysis of our existing facility to help us look at what are the needs, what do we need to address with the amount of traffic, what do we need for safety concerns, equipment, and kind of help us put together some master plans for the council to consider. Several design options were presented to the council at public meetings between 2017 and 2019. So we had many different configurations and building layouts and locations. We're kind of limited on site, even though there's 55 acres. A lot of it is not usable. So we really had to get creative in how we made things work down there. But we did finally land with a design after much discussion over the how to deal with the challenges and just how to fit everything together there. And then, so in 2019, that's when the council adopted the pay-as-you-throw program. So again, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that came into be. And then the transfer station work, actually, we got that underway this summer. So in June of 22, that got started. So we're in the process of building that now, and I have a few photos of that coming up. So pay-as-you-throw, folks ask, why pay-as-you-throw? Why did you land on that particular program? It was really after a lot of discussion with other communities and the recycling committee doing a lot of this research and work, it was recommended by the recycling committee that adopted by the town council. And we talked several different solutions and consulted with a lot of communities. We talked with haulers and we talked with some waste vendors to try to figure out the best way. But pay-as-you-throw seemed to provide the things that we wanted to get out of the program, and then also provided some opportunity for funding of these improvements. So pay-as-you-throw also has been proven to boost up recycling rates. So that was a big one that we really wanted to address in Yarmouth. We've had those stagnant rates, and again, we relied on education and outreach to try to build those programs up, but it's been challenging to get past those numbers. And regardless, where you fall on things, there is a trash issue. If you watch other states, you watch a lot of communities, a lot of other states that are struggling with where to go. We've got limited space in landfills, so this is coming down the road. And anything that we can do to try to limit that, what we throw away and how we process and recycle and do those things, it makes sense to get on board with that and do what we can to boost that up. So the pay-as-you-throw will do that. We were going to partner with a company, Waste Zero, so they're the ones that provide our bags. They've done a number of different communities all over New England with those programs, so they have a ton of experience. So they were a big resource for us in helping us decide, that looked like, as far as a recycling rate and how to get that boosted up quickly, that was a pay-as-you-throw was a good way to go for that. So that was one reason. Pay-as-you-throw also offered a way to generate some revenue. So we have the transfer station. We have about $1.5 million in a project down there to build that new facility. So nothing is cheap, but the pay-as-you-throw offered an opportunity to fund that. And the pay-as-you-throw also kind of pulled it out. So normally it's been historically it's in your tax bill, so it's kind of hidden in there. It's out of sight. We don't get a lot of questions or comments about it. But one thing that this has done with the pay-as-you-throw is it kind of pulls it out of that, and it brings it in front of people for a discussion. So it's great, again, to see people turning out to talk about this. And this is exactly what we wanted, to kind of bring it out, get it on the forefront. The other thing that pay-as-you-throw does, in addition to paying for the buildings, is it provides a little bit of equity to the program. So if you spend any time at the transfer station and you look at what's thrown into the hopper, you'll see that there's a ton of material that still could be recycled. We have folks that are avid recyclers that do the right thing and they recycle everything they can. And then we have other folks that will back up with a pickup and just throw everything into the hopper. And there's no incentive to do anything different. So the bag is really just the carrot or the stick, depending on how you look at it, to try to get folks to change their behavior, to think about trash as to think about it as a resource and instead of just something that we throw away. So the pay-as-you-throw program, the more you throw away, obviously, the more it's going to cost you because you have to buy a bag to put it in. But if you think about behaviors, if we can get folks to kind of change behaviors and rethink that a little bit, recycle more, pull the food waste out, then you can reduce the number of bags that you buy, and obviously results in less money that you spend on those bags. So again, it just is a tool to get this conversation out in front of folks and get people talking about it, and to really have folks think about the behaviors and what they're throwing away. And then the last one really was, we looked at it, the number of communities around us is 139 other Maine communities that are doing pay-as-you-throw. Only one, Wyndham has recently changed, but the other communities around us are still using bags. So we get to talk with them to see how those programs are going, and that led into our decision to go with this type of program. So this is just a little snapshot of the transfer station. So this is the existing conditions. So when I said about up top, you can see where it says swap shop and it says universal waste cardboard. That's our main recycling building. We have a compactor for trash, MSWs, municipal solid waste. And then we have the single sort recycling. Those are those silver containers that everybody puts the material in. Then if you look to the right, all the way down back where it says construction demolition debris, that's where we have a retaining wall. And we had containers that folks would dump in their furniture, building materials, shingles, and so forth. And then we also have leaf and brush and compost and all those other items down there as well. So this is kind of the new site plan. So we are now moving everything down to the bulky waste area. So the transfer station building up top where you do your batteries and TVs and trash now all gets moved down back. And there is a new transfer station being built that will replace all that. We will have 2 compactors now. So one will be for trash and one will be for recycling. So I mentioned that silver bullets are a very inefficient way to haul materials because you can't compact it. But now we'll have 2 compactors that we can compact both those projects. So we're products. So we're looking at about a 5-to-1 reduction in our recycling haul cost just by compaction alone. So it results to about $28,000-$30,000 we're estimating just in savings on haul cost alone by compacting those recyclables. We've also seen there's be a new gatehouse. There'll be a little different traffic pattern, so you'll be able to drive in and you pull into one of the diagonal spots and then you'll drive out into the other lane. This is what we proposed and what we're going to try. I'm trying to get it done. We're running out of warm weather here, so the push is on to get everything painted. But that's what we're going to try with. We may adjust this as we go. We find out things don't work quite as planned. But the idea was to try to create as few conflicts in backing and parking and pulling movements as possible and keep things going in one direction. So in this scenario, you drive in, drive to park, and then you pull out. No backing or anything like that. So we hope that that's going to be a lot safer. Plus, we have a lot more room. The swap shop is already located down here. We've moved that ahead of time. So we hope that this whole configuration will be better from a traffic standpoint, but it'll also be much more efficient for staffing. So now all of our staff is in one place and we can oversee all the operations from this one vantage point. So this is just a quick snapshot of the new building. So this is a few weeks ago, or probably maybe a month ago, as they're starting to go up. And then this one is just a few days ago, we paved the surface out around the building. So today they're actually putting in the overhead doors and starting to button it up inside and getting things ready. We're anticipating it'll be done sometime in December, and then we'll be ready to open in January 2nd. Just another shot from the back side of the building, and then a little more updated one. The roof is finished. We've done some paving down here, so we're making some progress here. And with that kind of ends my presentation. So what really here tonight, folks, we're here for you. Here, as long as you want to be here, we'll try to answer your questions, address any comments. Again, we have folks from the recycling committee and from council here tonight to do that as well. If I don't have an answer, I'll get it for you. My contact information is here, so you're welcome to reach out to me separately if anybody wants to meet and talk about this, in a different format. I'm happy to do that as well and answer questions. But really, I'll open it up to you folks, and please come up to the mic and let us know who you are, and we'll start.
Good evening. Excuse me. I'm trusting this is being aired. I tried to listen last time and there was no sound. And so I came in tonight to ask a couple of questions. The first one is, background, my wife helped start the recycling program, whatever it was, 25 years ago. And we've been involved in that in my professional life. I've been well aware of the issues surrounding solid waste. We do recycle. The bags aren't going to matter to us in terms of the amount of recycling that we do. I do understand it as a fundraiser, and I'm not complaining about the use of the bags. The one thing I do complain about, and I've asked a number of people, I asked a town council member, and he said, oh, that's going to change, definitely, no problem. And then I said, when? He said, well, we haven't really talked about it yet. So I don't know when this is going to happen, but a 15-gallon, I mean, we have a 25-gallon given out. We wouldn't fill a 25-gallon bag in a month. The 15-gallon bag is too big for us. That'll take us probably at least a couple of weeks. And the result is that we now have, or at that point, we will have smelly garbage in our garage for a couple of weeks or longer. And what can you do about getting a smaller bag, 10-gallon at least, no more than 10 gallons, but even smaller. But certainly for a number of older people who in town who may not produce as much trash as a family of 4 or 5, filling a 15-gallon bag is going to be a problem, and it's going to be a smelly thing unless people decide to throw it away, excuse me, when it's a third full. So what can you do to get smaller bags available to the public?
So again, I don't have an answer for you tonight on that. What we did was we did look at other communities and kind of gauged what they were using for bags and kind of and also with Waste Zero, who supplies the bags. So they gave us some insight to best practices and what other communities around New England. So I think that range of the 15 and 30 are the most popular size of the bags. So that's what we chose to go with. Whether we'll have a smaller bag, I mean, there's always an opportunity to revisit this. If there's there's folks that just say this doesn't work and they get a lot of feedback, then maybe that's something we could look at down the road. But at this point, there's only those two sizes. What I will say, again, go back to my comment about changing behaviors. You mentioned the smelliness, so obviously is because of the food waste that's in the bags. So what we're trying to do also too, as part of this, is from an Eco-Maine standpoint, where this material gets burned, obviously food waste doesn't burn well, so we'd like to see that material pulled out. And that's why we've tried to incentivize and make a good program with the transfer station for food waste collection. So you have an opportunity to bring it there. Obviously that you'd have to do that more often than 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what you produce for food waste. But that's one option to kind of address the
We've been
smelliness of the
recycling
bags.
our food waste since back when we got the black composters that you'd be able to use in the back of the yard. We've used that. We've composted all of our food waste. There are other smells that come with garbage.
Okay.
And so does the company make bags that are smaller than 15 gallons?
I would assume they would. I can't remember. Now, do you want to?
Nat and I have talked briefly about it.
I know they're available. I'm sure the company would make, what would make other size bags, and maybe Nat would have a comment on that.
I knew Chip was going to ask this question. And I did pursue it a little bit with Waste Zero to find out what the cost would be and what the options would be. And basically, they discouraged it for a couple of reasons. One, a very high setup cost and a very low demand. And so if you're going to pay thousands of dollars to get a run of 10-gallon bags, say, on the market, you then have to find the stores that are willing to buy them, to resell them, which we're trying to convince them to do with the 2 sizes that we've selected. And they're going to do it because they want you to come in the store and buy more stuff. But they don't get any markup, by the way. So it's the stores that agree to do this are doing it for foot traffic. But basically a very high setup cost and a very low demand. Most people will not ask for that. Most families will, in fact, probably buy the smaller of the 2 bags. We work the pricing very closely, so if people pack them to the density that I think they will, based on averages, they both cost 9.5 cents a pound. If you pack one with 21 pounds, the other one with 13 pounds, that's how it's going to work out. But so it is possible to sell a smaller bag, but somebody has to decide to be in that market. And so far, the town has not decided to do that. I thought about it a little bit, and I said, I think we could pass the hat and buy you enough of the smaller of our 2 bags to cover you for your life and save us a few $1,000s along the way.
My life.
Well, I'm not going to put it.
20 years?
Well, Chip, I was hoping we could recycle you.
Well, anything that can be done to get smaller bags, I think would be useful. I'm not sure that and I go back. I'm not sure I understand the setup costs, but if there are two separate bags at a store, you can put them out and you can have three sets of, I'll take the 15, I'll take the 10, or I'll take the 25. But I guess I'd like you to keep thinking about that. The second comment, Eric, is that I have to be careful how I say this. You've mentioned education and efforts to teach people. I just haven't seen that. I'm at the recycling center. I see people throwing things away that shouldn't be thrown away. I've talked to by the way, the staff at the recycling center is wonderful. No problems there at all. But you've already mentioned that the staffing is short. One of the things that I talked to the fellows up there about was having somebody near where we throw the trash away and just educating people or giving them a piece of paper. Staff said, we don't have time to do it. We can't do it. And I've never seen anyone do it. I went to a couple of the meetings about a year and a half ago, mentioned that. Good idea. Maybe, one member of the committee is up there for 3 hours on a Saturday. Something. Because if you confront, and that's too strong a word, but if you mention it to people that, hey, by the way, what you're throwing in there, that's costs us a lot of money. It's better to recycle and so forth. That outreach and education, I haven't seen at all. And I think it really, really would be useful, even after we have the bags. The last question, I'm still not quite clear, and I apologize for taking it. This is my last question. The setup of how the vehicles are going to go, I didn't quite follow that, but certainly one of the temptations by people will be to throw things into the recycling area to avoid having to pay money to pay for the trash. And are we going to be handing? Are we going to recycle in the same way we get out of the car? We put what's going to be recycled into something, because if that's the case, then you need to have somebody watching what people are doing, because the penalty for having a container rejected or said, this is not recycling, this is trash. You have a few plastic bags in there, sorry, now it's trash, and you pay the higher fee. And so can you explain sort of the process of how we are going to put the recycling into the system?
Sure. Yep. So I don't have my pointer with me tonight, but you will enter the facility. There you can see the two compactors. So there's actually inside the building, there's going to be a small, I think it's a 5x7 opening in the wall. So the first one is dedicated for the MSW trash. So if you bring your bag, you'll be able to just toss the bag directly into the compactor. The second one is dedicated for recycling. So we're kind of working through this, and I think we'll probably do some tweaks to it along the way. But we're looking to have basically a large table, if you will, bin table that you will dump your recycling. So you'll bring in your tote full of recycling and you'll just dump it. And it's right next to the compactor. So what we wanted to do by this design was, one, give staff an opportunity to see what is in that. So to your point about education, this allows for staff to be in one location. It allows it to be much more centralized, and we get better eyes on what's coming in and out of the facility. So you'll dump, there's a quick visual. If there is some stuff, there's an opportunity for correction to say, hey, that doesn't go there, and also an opportunity to pull it out. So we're not faced right now with the contamination fees. That's kind of gone away for the short term, but that may very well come back as markets fluctuate in the demand for materials and what the quality of those materials are. So there will be a different setup for dumping, hopefully much more convenient. You're not trying to stuff it through those windows, and everybody isn't doing their own thing. So it's all spread out. It's all in one location for folks to see it, and then the staff will it'll be set up so they can just slide it into the opening and it'll be compacted.
Now there's 6 or 7 people putting recycling into the silver bullets, and if we're going to have a line of people putting things out on a table and the staff having to go through it with staffing problems.
Well, we don't want to go through it, so we still want to educate folks. We
Reviewing
still
it.
want folks to be dumping it so that it's correct. We still want folks to do the right separation at home, so we're not asking for it just to come in all mixed. So we're not baling cardboard anymore. Cardboard actually will go into the system, so it does free up some of that time that's associated with that. So again, that's the first thought here. We obviously will probably tweak this as we go. If we find we can't keep up with a certain system, we may have to do something else. The system is designed, if folks did the right thing, they could dump directly into that. So that's another option too. But there will be a learning curve as we go and we go through this. And but that's the way we've got it set up at the moment.
Thank you. Yeah, the staffing is going to be an issue and a problem that the staff having to look through. But anyway, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Do I have to give my name?
You do? Please. We'd love to know.
Andy. The issue that concerns me the most is the amount of individual effort I'm going to have to do to have separate bins or bags in my house, and tin cans go in one, plastic bottles go in one. No?
No.
Oh.
So so for recycling, it's single sort.
Oh.
So you can have one of those green containers or whatever you choose to
Yeah.
use, and you can put your plastics, your cans, your metal, your
Paper?
paper, everything all in one bin. You can do that now, and then you bring that to it and you dump it. Today, you dump it into a silver container.
Yeah.
When this
I was
is-
thinking, I was under the misconception that I had to have everything in separate containers, put it in my truck, bring it over, and then take it out and one at a time go find the right place to put it. So, and that would take me quite a while because, I'm not too fast on my feet. So that kind of eliminates that issue. The fact that we've had the current system in place for 33 years just happens to coincide with when I moved to Yarmouth. But I'm guessing that there was another system in place prior to that?
Well, we didn't have a transfer station before,
Right.
so they were
Right.
a dump.
So, but I guess one consideration I was thinking about was in terms of the 3,000 households that you referred to earlier. Each one of these households, either once a week or once every 10 days or whatever it is, they put their trash in their car or their pickup truck and they drive 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. In my case, it's 8 miles round trip. And if you've got 3,000 people doing that on an individual basis times 6 miles per trip, that's 18,000 linear miles that are being driven weekly and polluting the air, wasting gasoline. And, well, it just doesn't make much sense in a town that I think prides itself on doing what we can for the climate and so forth. It just seems so wasteful that 3,000 people are targeted with this responsibility when I think a couple of trucks doing curbside service would certainly pollute a whole lot more or less, hopefully less. And has that concept been thought out and discussed in detail?
Yeah, very much so. So that was actually one of the proposals that the recycling committee put forward to the town council for consideration. Do we want to either do away with the transfer station altogether, or do we want to limit the hours so it's 2 days a week maybe, and go to a curbside program? So
It just seems so inefficient to have 3,000 customers putting their stuff in their car, burning gas, polluting the atmosphere and so forth, when there could be other systems in place, simply curbside pickup. And I don't think people would put out their trash if they didn't have a reasonable amount to pick up. I mean, if you had a trash bin, some people might take 3 weeks to fill up a trash bin, and So if it's not out on the curb, the truck just goes flying by and picks up the next one. But it just seems that this idea of having 3,000 people, going over there and so forth, but at least I'll just go there. I'll throw my blue bag in the blue bag place and my recycle, and that can be 10. Do these 10 cans and plastic bottles, they don't have to be washed and cleaned, do they?
They don't need to be washed.
Yeah.
It's like anything. We want to make it easy enough for folks to do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're
if
not
it's
going to
too-
be half full with Campbell's soup or anything,
So
but on the other hand,
a quick rinse.
they don't, a quick rinse and just toss them in the can. But they will eventually smell a little bit or something if they're in an open container. Tin cans.
I don't, mine don't, but
Yeah.
I obviously if you have food waste left in the container and you leave it in your garage for a couple of weeks
Well-
or at your house, you'll probably smell it. But there's no change. Whatever you're doing for recycling today at the transfer, there's no change to that other than there's a new drop location.
And the fact that, if you have to tweak the program after it's been in place for a while, and you're more than prepared to do that and so forth, if there's, because the last thing 3,000 people want to do is spend an hour or two trying to get into the recycling center, waiting for their turn, finding a parking space and that type of thing.
Great. Thank you for your comments.
Andy, thank you so much for coming. I'll just say on behalf of the council, we did agonize over this question of going to curbside for the whole town. It turns out there's a lot of people in town, a lot of people who love the transfer station and want to keep it sort of functioning and participating in the way they do. Not everybody feels that way, but a lot of folks did. And in addition, it turns out the costs of running a curbside program are substantial. It's a nice service, and you're absolutely right. It is a little bit lower carbon footprint to have a couple of trucks rather than everybody driving.
I think it's more than a little bit.
Yeah, but as it turns out, that we got pushback on the cost, which is something we're always juggling here on the council.
Any other questions, folks? We're here for you, so please come over, just so we can hear you in the recording.
Very brief one. What is the material that the bags are made of?
Well, I don't know the exact content. I don't know if you remember that, but there is a certain percentage of recycled content.
But it's plastic.
It's plastic. Yeah, there's one of the bags, Karen.
Polyethylene, basically.
Yep. She could it's a regular trash bag. That gentleman has one there, so.
This is a 30-gallon bag.
Okay, yep.
It,
All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
yep. And you can get one of those tonight when you leave. We can.
What's the difference between his bag and the regular plastic bags that we use?
3 gallon.
Color. So the color is specific, and if he opens that up, there's Town of Yarmouth has the Will Be Recycling mascot, and it's some. Yep. But it's a town issued bag, so the town sets the price for the bag. So if you buy Glad trash bags, whatever they cost at the store, this is a specific bag that's color coded so that it's a Yarmouth bag. It has the Yarmouth logo. So when it comes in, the staff knows that that bag's supposed to go in the program.
I was told that if you do have.
Could we ask you to come to the microphone so that everyone gets the benefit of your question?
Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Terry, and I was told that if you have plastic bags, like I have plastic bags left over, that you have a sticker that you could put on from the town.
We do not have a sticker option for the
Well,
bags.
that's what I was told, that you get the stickers so you can finish using your bags.
Yeah, no, we don't have that option, so it does have to be a bag in order to be disposed of.
So if I have some trash bags left at the end of the year,
Yep.
can I still use them?
No, not after January 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
This is a 30-gallon bag?
Yes.
How come it's so short? It doesn't, in other words,
We have short trash.
I've got a 30-gallon plastic barrel, and this thing is way shorter than that. So these aren't designed to sleeve into a plastic barrel.
If it's I assume a 30-gallon container, it would fit into the 30-gallon container. So I'm not sure the dimensions of your container, but that's comparable to, from what I understand, comparable to other bags in other communities. We modeled the same.
Most plastic barrels are 33 gallons, but you can buy 30-gallon plastic containers, and then you just sleeve it and put your stuff in.
You can, or you could, however you want to do that, that's up to you. I don't know if it'll fit exactly, but that's the two sizes that are available for bags.
Yeah. And a 15-gallon bag fits inside a kitchen, what do you call those things? Flipper.
Yeah.
You push the button and
Yeah, it might be a little bigger, but yes, it would fit inside, so.
Yeah, so that's 15 gallon.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much weight is in the bag.
There is a weight restriction for the bags.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do you remember, Nat, what they were? Was it 13? And, I don't know if it's on the bag, Andy, or not. I don't think
That's just a strength limitation.
Yeah, it's a strength limitation
don't
for the
weigh
bag, and we made our assumptions based on, how much we think folks will put into a bag to do that. Obviously, if you overload the bag will break, so there is a limit to what it will
So if you,
hold.
but the average homeowner is gonna try to compress as much trash in this bag as is reasonable without causing it to break. But, I mean, like, I could sit on it.
We're not gonna weigh the bag when it comes
Right,
in,
not
so,
gonna weigh the bag.
but you'll know quickly how much you can put in, because it'll probably break if you put over what it's designed to handle.
It doesn't have to be just a fluffy cloud blue bag, it can be filled
Yeah.
and compressed
Right.
and might weigh, I don't know, whatever. But,
Yeah, there's different thicknesses in the poly, and these are not the top of the line, but they're not the bottom. So this is average to what other communities are using as well. So we went with their feedback too on what works and doesn't work.
I'm getting Sean, our videographer, is flagging me, just reminding me that the folks at home who are very keen to hear all these questions and answers, we'd encourage everyone to use the microphone.
Thanks.
Mr., could you identify yourself for the
I'm
two
also
people in
Andy.
town who don't know who you are?
No. I'm Nat Tepper, I'm town manager. And a few years ago, when the council was first debating the issue and thinking through, there was a proposal. In fact, it made it to the books that you could buy a sticker and put it on, not on bags, but on odd-shaped things that didn't fit in a bag too well. We thought it through, and the council repealed that part before we got here because we know it will be just a bit of a nightmare. We'll work with people. If you have a big piece of styrofoam or something, it doesn't make sense to have you break it all down. You bring it to us, we'll take care of it for you. But for the most part, we're going to use these. They're priced in order to generate the revenue we need. They're not priced to what they cost us. But I did, in the early years of this discussion, get a regular trash bag, because they're not really any different. And I put 25 pounds in it. I used my kid's weight set. I filled it up with some newspapers and stuff to hide the things. And I brought it in and asked the council if they would ever pick up a bag like that and take it to the dump. And they all said, no way, I can't lift it. So now that may mean we have very weenie counselors back then.
only 25 pounds?
So the point is, you can
I
put
could easily lift it, just for the record.
all of them said they wouldn't. That is way too heavy for what they would normally do, and they would never expect to put that much in. So we did a lot of averaging, and we looked at other communities to figure out how much trash people would put in on average. And I agree with you, in the first few months, people are going to go crazy trying to get it as tight and as much in as they can in order to save $2 or $1.25. But then it's sort of like buying a new car. You wash it frequently when you first own it. And after about 4 months, you say, well, I'll get it next month, and then maybe next spring. So it's our anticipation is you can put as much as you can get in there without busting the bag, because if you bust the bag, you got to buy another one. So that's the way it is. We got two sizes. We figure most people will use the smaller ones for like a kitchen bag and fill that up, and if that's enough for them, and they'll take it out and they'll step on the stuff a few times, and so they can get a little more out of it before opening another bag. That on average, once things settle down, they'll probably put 13 or 14 pounds in each bag, and in the larger one, around 21, 22 pounds. But I could be wrong. And if you stuff a lot more in, or you recycle a whole lot more so you don't have as much of the stuff in, you'll save some money. And if you're lazy like me, and don't really want to pick your foot up that high in order to step in the trash can, you pay an couple extra bucks every month for more bags. It does not go by weight. No, it's just the practical realities. There's only so much that you can put in the bag before it breaks. Exactly. I think you're going to find that it's going to be adequate for your purpose unless you're making bricks in the house. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Quick question about recycling.
Mike's going.
Please come up to the mic.
This is Speedy Gonzalez. I forgot what the question was now. I guess I took too long to get here. I forgot what the question is. I'm having a senior moment. It's not necessary to squeeze and compress like half-gallon milk jugs, plastic milk jugs, or like a can of Prego. You don't have to flatten it. You can just put it in there and it's normal without having to do all that. But if you do that, then you got to go to the recycling center more often because it takes up a lot more volume. Mm-hmm. But everything can go in one container.
That's what
that makes my day.
We've had that since 2006. So you can, like that green container that's on the table, you could fill that with all of your recyclables, not trash, but just recyclables.
Yeah. And all the trash goes in the blue bag.
Yep.
And then when you get enough blue bags, kicking around the house, you come over and throw them away.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like a pretty doable deal. Time will tell.
Anyone else, folks? All right.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We love to hear from everyone. Anybody have any questions? I will tell you at the council, we are thrilled every time people come in here to ask us questions or tell us their thoughts or even just to yell at us. We just love seeing people. So we're lonely and we're extroverts. So we're happy to see you.
Is it true that the public works system do you guys have a strategy where as soon as I plow and shovel my driveway, then the plow comes by one last time to bring it back into me?
That's next week. We do that.
I know, but I mean, like, I can almost, it's like I can, 5 minutes after I finish, that plow will come down the street and do one more pass and push the berm back into the driveway. But that's not, you guys don't have drones up there running around watching me, or?
No, it's all by luck.
It's just pure luck. I like it. You know what I like is when I stand there and I dare the guy to slime me with slush, and he does. It's just, I was soaked, but the guy was so, I don't know if he was laughing or what, but. Well, yeah, boy, no, they plow both sides, last I knew, but yeah, I figured I could defend my turf by standing there so he could pull out a little bit, clean me out. But I'm having fun over there on Portland Street. It's just, sometimes it gets a little old.
Well, if nothing else, folks, thank you very, very much for coming out tonight. Again, please make sure to pick up a bin or a food waste container. Get your bag, and Karen's got some resources. Say hi to Katrina in the back if you have any other recycling questions or any questions about what Eco Maine does. And with that, we'll conclude the meeting. So thank you very much for coming.